So Suffolk County has a 5 cents fee per bag, and Nassau County doesn't. So what do tons of people in Suffolk County do?
Bag smugglers?
No, they go shopping in Nassau County.
Right.
So that's effect.
Yeah.
So that's affecting the economies.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it even affects tourism. I was in Colorado, and I was at a Home Depot, and you had to pay for bags.
Right.
Yeah, and I just bought less stuff. I mean, the first time they got me, right? I didn't know. But actually, I was constantly fixing, and we had this trailer, and you have to fix it sometimes. Stuff, a lot of the stuff I built myself. So this was the maiden voyage. A lot of things were being tested.
Right.
I fixed them; they're fine now. But I had to buy some things, and I'm like, I went there twice, and the second time I'm like, that can wait,
right?
Because it just annoyed me that I had to pay a bag tax,
right?
Or carry out my stuff like I'm like it's like a cartoon.
But it's quite interesting. It's like when you're in Europe, I've been to Europe many times, is everyone brings their bags shopping.
Right.
And I said...
Which is probably not a problem at Home Depot, but it's really annoying in a supermarket where you have spoiled meat in the bottom of your bag and it smells. And
Well, talking about meat is if people are using their bags, you have to be careful. You should only have meat bags because you shouldn't have... You bring home that meat, the chuck, ground chuck, and then use that bag next week for your vegetables.
Right. Yeah. Totally. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's gross. Yeah. Do you do kosher or you don't?
I do kosher. I don't. No shellfish.
Right.
Stuff like that.
I wonder how that works for cities that have done bag laws that also have large Jewish populations. If they have to make exception. I wonder if you get a religious exception to the bag tax.
That'd be cool.
I think I just started a revolution.
There you go.
Kosher exceptions to the bag tax.
Talking about revolution, I do predict that in my lifetime, I think America is in a post-constitutional.
Yeah.
Definitely post-constitutional right now.
I hope to God not. That would be terrible.
No, we are in a post-constitutional environment right now.
Well, but I mean, we're at least still pretending.
It's pretending, but there will be a time where I do predict that there'll be like America 3.0 or 4.0. Well, I think it's going to be more 3.0 because
I see what you're saying. I see the same trend you're seeing, but I see a different result.
But America 3.0, we will be regionalized. There'll be regions where I think there'll be America where it's more socialism, and those states that want to be that way.
That wouldn't be so bad.
We'll choose that, which I think would be fine. It would be great because.
So you're envisioning going back more towards state rights.
Oh, big time. Because I think.
Yeah, I think that would be. I hope that goes that direction too.
Because I think. Like a whole states to be a conglomerate, say the Northeast will become more socialistic, and we'll be more open about it. We're not open about it, and we are extremely socialist. We're the land of no, and I think more certain other parts of the country will be more more rights, individual rights centric.
Right.
They believe in property rights and individual rights. In fact, talking about rights, I call myself a progressive. And I'll explain this. This might sound really weird. I might consider I'm a progressive.
No, it's fine. I can 1,000 voices cried out.
No, because think about it. I think I don't disagree with you. Today's liberal isn't a liberal,
right?
Because I think they're regressives, and I am progressive because I believe in free speech.
Now you're just shit talking.
No, I believe in free speech. I believe in the right to own property. The right to be self-determination and the right to express free ideas, and I will protect that right. And those are liberal ideas. Those are progressive ideas.
Yeah.
The quote unquote liberals.
Yeah, if you dial the clock back to the '80s, I'm a liberal.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm by those standards, I'm right up the middle.
But the quote unquote liberal today is a regressive. They don't believe in property rights. I think they believe in censorship. They don't believe in self-determination.
Right.
They believe in confiscation of wealth. How much federal government.
I
is
think
life.
all those things are okay under limited circumstances. You could bring up cases where they work. The problem is
But tell me, when is enough? When is there enough?
Yeah, well, everything's a slippery slope. That's the problem.
There is never enough. They always want more. Always want more.
Inherently, so this is the thing. Democracy, in a democracy, whether it's a republic or a democracy, the participants in the democracy have to be informed. They have to be. It's not enough to be trying. You actually have to be right.
But you have to be
about what works and what doesn't.
Right. But today's
You have to be pragmatic.
pragmatic. You have to.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want things to work.
Right. Yeah. It's true. I agree with you.
Right. So I do say is there would be America because of UCC laws and interstate commerce and stuff. There will always be America, but I think there'd be maybe 4 or 5 regional. Would be more like the Soviet Union, ex-Soviet Union.
So the question of commerce going over borders is always comes down to this, and it just drives me. This is like one of, if I had a top 5 things that the journalists failed at in expressing a political standoff, it would be in dealing with commerce over borders. There is a world of difference between free trade and fair trade.
Right.
I am very much against free trade. I like fair trade, and what I mean by that is when you have people on two sides of a border, and one of them has no rights, and one of them has lots of rights. Guess where everything's going to get made? The place where the people are literally slaves.
Right, and it's like
you have to take what rights the people on the other side of a trade pact have as part of the trade pact.
So I remember when China became.
I didn't say China. Yeah, you're right, China.
So I remember when China became.
Sorry, China. It's not great.
Became part of the World World WTO, and I knew there was a disaster. I knew that would gut the Midwest. How could you not know that? And I knew corporations will be just destroying factories and moving things over in wholesale. And granted, I believe in money. I do want to own the Gulf Stream. I do want to have nice things, and
everyone wants to have nice things.
And nice, but it's like
well, hopefully we'll get into a situation soon where nice things are way cheaper.
But it's how? But what is it? Is it
I have
really,
a right to a Gulf Stream.
I do too. But it's like how much is enough do you have to make? Do you have to really gut those factories? Do you really have to make $100 trillion or $100 gazillion? Maybe you could just make $100 billion. Is that maybe enough, or maybe $100 million is enough instead of making?
Well, clearly part of what's happening there is that the gap between the lowest and the highest paid employee is just growing and growing and growing.
Right.
Especially, and often those stats don't even include the golden parachutes and the backup plans.
No.
Now I understand managers take more risk and they should get paid more, but how many more orders of magnitude more do they need to get paid than the lowest paid employee?
I agree.
So I think that is someplace where I am very much on the left, and I think
and I believe
income equity is a big deal, and it was much closer. The further every decade you go back, it gets closer.
And it's disgusting and it's unacceptable. And I think when we have America 3.0, there will be some blowback.
So here's the problem with the going to America smooth. So there's a path forward to a smooth transition to America 3.0, which is the states keep taking more liberties or using the liberties they've always had, and nobody fights them.
But states have given up all their liberty. They've given up, not all, they've given up so much of their liberty to the federal government.
Well, they can just take it back, and the problem is...
But the problem is that the federal government won't let them take it back. But when you get a collection of
they have. It's already happened with marijuana. I mean, marijuana is still a Schedule I drug, federally speking.
Yes,
you can't get a federal job anymore, but there's 40-something states that'll welcome you.
But okay, so let's touch the third rail.
Okay.
So the third rail, let's touch the border. That's a third rail.
Yeah. Okay. That's just another border, just like China, and
No, but
fair trade versus free trade.
But let's talk about so Arizona tried to just enforce border laws and use the same laws that the federal government had on the books, and the federal government took Arizona to the shed.
Right.
for the banking.
Right. So they that's going to happen sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes when states try to assert themselves.
But there was certain.
The key is popular support, and one of the reasons that marijuana laws have worked in all the states is because there's popular support of them. Right. Because it's just the generations that thought that marijuana was this ridiculous, widowmaker,
right.
have just died off. And the people who are left are the people who realize, okay, this is either neutral or good. And neutral's good enough. I don't need to interfere if it's neutral. And eventually, so really that's kind of a PR war. If people see the open borders as good, then they're going to think they continue the way they are. If they see open borders as bad, then you're going to start seeing.
Every country that has open borders.
When you have a whole state that's against it, the country's split 50-50 on this roughly.
But let's talk about, so when you lose your borders, language, and culture, you lose your country. Mm-hmm. And when you start losing, the first thing is losing your borders.
Right. Well, so here's the problem. So the reason that's happening, and the reason that argument is that thing is happening,
is because I think it's the one world order.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. I think that well, all right. So I don't know.
The left. So the regressors.
I don't know. That is a distinct possibility. I don't really know that.
Okay, so let's not even talk about that. So let's just take the equation. The regressives, I like to say, because I'm a progressive, because I believe in liberty, property,
right,
and things like that. Is they believe in open borders.
So you're not a congresswoman. Right. Sorry. You're not a congresswoman, right? Congress is the opposite of progress.
I like that.
Yeah. So
continue. Oh my God. So who was I?
I interrupted you.
Yes.
I interrupted you with my poorly placed hand. Look. I'm not saying we can't talk about that. It's just I don't think there's an answer right now.
No,
I agree with you about the importance of borders.
But they have
identity.
The regressives believe in open borders, and that will destroy.
So the problem is that I think what's happened, and people don't realize they've done it. And you can make this point subtly. You don't have to go in guns blazing and flag waving in Texas style. It's actually
no one's saying that.
No. But a lot of people do. I'm not saying you're doing that, but a lot of people do this on this topic. But it's actually really simple. I think a lot of people are moving away from integration, and that's the real problem. There's this idea that culture is completely untouchable, and the problem with that is it blocks up our mobility. And when you don't create like cultural ghettos where people are part of a culture and they're safe in that culture and they get certain rights are reassigned to cultures. That's how we're being treating culture lately. And the problem with this is you just don't have that upward mobility. You don't have that ability to move between markets because you're trapped within the markets available to your culture. And if we fix that, the border crisis would fix itself. Because what would happen is
I disagree.
If someone couldn't integrate, people would look at it as from the point of view of someone coming across the border, can they integrate or not? And if they're not trying to follow the laws, if they're not trying to follow the rules, if they're just coming over because they want to, they wouldn't really be trying to integrate. So that would become the problem, their lack of enthusiasm for integration, rather than the lack.
I agree, because it's like...
I mean, no one really argues. I've had this conversation, like pieces of this conversation with people, and no one ever argues against integration, because that's crazy, right? Everyone's pro in integration.
Right.
But what people don't realize is the stance that they're taking is actually kind of anti-integration.
But I think what the average Joe is pissed about is the lack of integration.
Yeah, I think so. The country's pretty integrated. I was surprised when I went cross country, and it's getting. But it seems like looking at New York, I saw New York getting more integrated over the decades, and the past decade it stopped.